Welcome to the Magic and Miracles with Kathi channel. I'm your host, Kathi Reed, and this is episode 40. And I have to tell you, today is a first. This is the first time since I started this channel, maybe even ever, that I really was resistant. When I realized what was happening, the message that was coming through to me, and the sense of urgency, like stop what you're doing and record this. It's the first time. Inside of me, I started questioning, like, why? Why do I need to? I'm busy. I've got stuff. I've got it, right? All these internal haggling, right? I have not ever done that before. And in the spirit of full disclosure, I did what I said never do. Don't ask the what, why, where, who questions, right? Just follow the prompting, follow that gut feeling and do it, whatever it is. Yeah, so today that got called on the carpet. And yesterday I kind of laid the groundwork. I said we're going to talk about maybe it was even the day before, about soul contracts and our soul agreements and what the purpose of our soul, right? And the bottom line, like why we're even here in a human body, right? So I knew there were going to be some spin-offs. I knew there was going to be some topics that we would cover that I didn't have full knowledge at that time when I said it. Little did I know that a conversation that started, now I don't even remember, it feels like it might have even been a couple, maybe a few weeks ago. And it started with some people that had similar experiences in the healthcare, being in healthcare facilities. And because I had a similar experience, when I broke my ankle, and those of you that didn't follow me then, go back, because it's too much for me to recap for all y'all. It was a very I was shocked, first of all, because I always held healthcare workers in such high regard. I was going to, in fact, major in healthcare law. I had a medical background. I loved the legal field because it was so absolute. And many things I didn't know then that I know now, and things have shifted so much. Anyway, experiences that I had, I broke my ankle in Texas and was a part physically of not just hearing about people's stories. I went through things myself that I never would have believed if I hadn't done it. If it hadn't happened to me. If I didn't have dialogue with doctors that anyway. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, people started coming to me. This happened to me, Kathi, this happened to me. And then this happened to me. And it's like, oh my gosh, like it's becoming more and more. Things are evolving and devolving, like things, as we've talked about this too, as things get better on one side of the bus, we look out one side of the windows, it's beautiful, and the weather is so gorgeous, and it's a beautiful scenery, and you look out the other side of the bus and it's getting worse and worse, and the chaos is building, and it's dreary, and it's scary and violent and yucky, right? All happening at the same time, depending on your experience, depending on the perspective that you have and what you're meant to be learning, right? So I didn't put it together when I started talking with these people that the first topic out of the gate after talking about our soul contracts would be one that had to do with death. Like that would be the furthest. There were so many topics I wanted to talk about, right? That jumped out at me after learning what I did. And death? Like, that was like, anyway, so be it. Because there's a sense of urgency. And please, I am not a doctor. I am not anything financial. I am not giving any type of advice. I'm not treating, I'm not recommending. All of the disclaimers I can possibly say, please hear them like that. This is strictly my story, what has been shared with me, what I feel urgently to get this message out for reasons I have no clue. And I am most definitely not what most people would consider psychic. I can't see into the future and predict. I don't bet on the come. I won't say I don't get excited and make decisions prematurely, sometimes not with great wisdom, right? So I'm not going to go that far. But from a supernatural standpoint, that is not what I have considered one of my gifts. I have been given unbelievable, and this is fairly recent, a knowing there, and it's called claircognizance, where you don't know how you know, but you do. I know for sure, as clear as I'm sitting here, that what I'm about to share with you is going to be pertinent for people that it resonates with. If it doesn't with you now, I highly recommend filing it away. Set it aside. Don't pass judgment on it, but remember it. Remember that there was an episode about that. Because you don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming, and it's not from a place of fear. This whole episode is to prepare us. Because God knows what's coming. Everything is by strategic. Holy Spirit designed with our soul, with complete. The whole heavenly hosts have all been in agreement. Everything is in perfect timing, so there is no fear. So when I bring up talking about death, and specifically we're going to talk today about the history of suicide. Okay? And thankfully, in my life, I don't have personal experiential opinion about that. There was a time when I was classified clinically depressed, and it was after the birth of my son. And the last step of the progression of depression and clinically depression was the thoughts of taking your own life, the thoughts of suicide. And I had not, or wanting to die. And I had not hit that stage. And it was so unthinkable to me, I remember at the time, because I've always been so excited. Like, I've always loved living. I've always, even if I was experiencing horrible things, I always believed it was going to get better. I always believed there was more. I was like, that just was so foreign to me. So to think that that was the next step on the list, yeah, I took it serious, and I got help. And it was not through Western medicine, through traditional therapy, although I did go and I did experience cognitive therapy where we talk it out, and I went to groups, right? That is not where my help came from. That's another topic. When it comes to suicide now, and I'm going to talk now, actually, before I talk about now, I'm going to bear with me here, because this really is taking me by surprise, and that I'm supposed to record it right now. I was raised very strict, very by the Bible, very, like, there's just no room. There's no, it does interpretation. There's only one, and that's mine. That's the church. That's this church. That's my, what I'm telling you is gospel truth, period. No discussion, no room for any kind of, let's look at this from a different standpoint. No, none. And suicide was sin. Suicide was taking your life into your own hands and becoming your own decision maker about whether you're going to live or die, and you're taking over for God, and shame on you, and you have just committed sin as you die. Period. And then it moved to, well, maybe people that commit suicide are mentally ill. They really can't, you can't make a decision like that and be held accountable because you're not all there. You can't stand trial. You can't be held to a standard of normal, or, having all your faculties about you. That's beyond your, no. So then that kind of changed. And so it became maybe less of a sin if you could be mentally ill, because then you can't, right? So I don't know, because I'm not a part of all of that belief system anymore and haven't been for a while. I don't know what the progression of that is for those people, and I'm not, that's just not me. So how things are now, and please feel this with me and feel yourself. Feel how it's coming through for you. How does this resonate with you? Because when we agreed, when we made our pre-birth plan with all the collective that came with us to Earth to build our life, to build everything that was going to influence us, everything, almost like, I picture it like the Truman Show, right? Where the whole town was in on this plan. This whole town was in on the act, was in on the movie. And Truman was the only one that didn't know he was just a star. He was the star of his movie. He thought everything was legit, like everything was, spontaneous and just, like kind of oblivious, right? Until it went on and he realized, oh my gosh, these people are saying the same thing day after day, like they're part of, they know what's coming and I don't, and I didn't even, right? That's kind of it. This is how I wrap my head around my life as a movie. Like, I've agreed to this, and it's so that I learn, right? When we made the agreements for our soul's benefit, for the evolving and the growth and learning of our souls, to experience greater levels of love and contrast, learning about love maybe through feeling the lack of love, learning about compassion through feeling no compassion, right? So many varying degrees of contrast. When we drew up that plan, and this is so incredible to me, because I've known that we live till we die, and we're all born terminal, right? When we're born as babies, we know we have an end date. Our shelf life is just a certain amount of years, and it's curtains, it's over. But I never put it in the context that was shown to me today, and how it has been twisted, and the configuration is so distorted for a purpose. When we think of suicide, it's a negative. It's many times it's a symptom, so that we can be given drugs or a treatment plan, or to intervene, and like the hotline. And don't take it lightly. People that do talk about suicide end up making that choice, and And please know, I'm not intercepting. This is not a recommendation to do anything different. I have to be really, really clear with this. But from a soul standpoint, it's just like a legal document. Remember yesterday I said, there's no emotion. There's no fluff. The soul has an objective, period. It sets out data. It sets out a course of how it wants to learn and who's going to be involved in the education of my soul, and everything is cut and dry, the end. It's like any other contract. And when I think of signing contracts, I think of when I bought houses and cars and, the unbelievable pages involved and all the blah, 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 and the legal schmiegel stuff. That, in all of that detail, in our pre-birth plan, we have an exit point. We call it death, even though who we really are, our soul never dies, ever. It's like it recycles. It goes to another dimension. It's on to its next assignment. It moves, it graduates on, it changes. It's like water becomes ice, and then it goes back to water, and then it can become something, and then it can be rain, and then it can be something, like the form changes, but what it is doesn't change, right? And that's how our soul is. So our exit points can be detailed differently, and it's only sometimes by manipulation with an agenda, depending on the circumstances in our world. And right now, I know firsthand, the intention can be to victimize you, to have you feel powerless, helpless, hopeless. What's the use? I'm no good to anyone now. It doesn't matter what I say or do. It's all going to end up the same. This really fatalistic, just, oh my gosh. And actually feelings of a victim, playing that victim card, even though it's a very real emotion, is a lower frequency. It's a lower on the emotional scale than hate or fear or rage. It is as low as you can go. When you have no voice, no effect, no power, it doesn't matter what I do, right? That is many times now, in the most recent past, people are given medication, and we're learning all the agenda behind some of the, and it doesn't take rocket science to figure out what's happening. And you can research that for yourself. But many prescriptions. And when I was specifically working with people with depression and ending their depression, it would say right on the prescription bottles of medication they took, suicidal thoughts was a common side effect. Like that was just almost a no-brainer. Well, now there are people that if you believe a certain way or you follow a certain political bias and not theirs, if there's a difference in beliefs or attitudes, you can be committed. You can be considered crazy, and you can be hospitalized against your will and be put on medication and have to be restrained if you stand up for yourself. Okay? This is just unheard of normally. Except when you start hearing about it, then it no longer is unheard of. And when I hear it from many people that come through, it's like, oh my gosh, like, this is really, and so again, I am staying proactive. I am not staying on that level of identifying and empathizing with people. I feel it with them because I was there, and I'm always moving forward, looking for solutions. How can we help this? What can we do to offset this? How can we, because there's power inside us, right? We are stronger than we realize. We have answers within us if we ask the right questions, if we're looking open-mindedly, right? Willing to let go of previous strict, hard, restraining, constricting beliefs. If we're willing to open up and go, what is it that I'm supposed to learn from this? What's in this for me? What does my soul need to learn? And when we can take away the stigma, when we can take away the shame and the blame and the guilt, I mean, the people that have had suicides in their families, and the guilt they feel because they feel like they should have been able to stop it, or if they had just known that there was such torture. And I'd like to share what was shown to me. Not everyone that commits suicide is tortured. They are not necessarily mentally ill, according to what I was shown. It is literally, do we go through all this writhing and all of this self-analysis and all of this depth of whatever, what side of the family had mental illness issues because this happened? When our lease runs out, do we jump through all those hoops? And maybe this is the bottom line, what I was shown, that if we take away that negative stigma, death is not evil. And how we die does not have to fit a mental health classification that warrants hospitalization and a forfeiting of our sovereignty and a forfeiting of our rights. It can be the end of our purpose on earth, period. Just like if our heart stops beating for no reason. It just stopped. I was in perfect health. And this happened to a person that I was very close to for many years. Just died in his sleep. Healthy. No history of heart issue, and something happened with his heart and he died. That was not evil. What was not sinful. That was no sign of mental illness. There was no all this jumping through hoops, right? When there is a suicide and people choose to end their life, I don't care if it's going to a state that makes it legal, that makes it planned, and you can go there and you can have assistance to accomplish it. Or if you take it upon yourself and do it, the result is the same. You are no longer on this earth plane. And the deadline was pre-established, even though people in your circle aren't aware. Because that's one of the conditions of coming to earth. We have no memory of that pre-birth agreement. So I think I explained it as well as I was shown it. And again, sit with this. If it doesn't resonate for you and you think, I don't know, this had nothing to do with me. I don't know what this is all about, Kath. I'm not wanting to die. I'm looking forward to my life. Great. I feel the same. Like, death is, that's why I kind of was like, what? Because I'm looking forward to moving forward with my life. Things are like, we are on the verge of unbelievable changes that have never happened on our planet ever. And it's exciting to me. So to have this be interjected with death or suicide, I don't take it lightly. And there's a reason. And I don't know what's on the upcoming horizon. I don't know if there's a manipulation, just like I don't know what our weather is going to be either. There's manipulation there too. So just be aware. Try to ease up on being judgmental. Try to ease up on how tightly you hold beliefs if they're challenged, if things change and there's a difference in the tone. Feel your way through how it affects you and how it sits for you. And you can trust it. You can ask for guidance. You can ask, I don't know what this means, what Kathy's talking about. I don't know how this is for me. But if you ask, you will be shown. And that's a promise. If you don't ask, then it's every man for himself. Like you, it's like you're going to learn however you're going to learn. But I know for sure, if you ask, you get help. That's a promise. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And I can't wait to see what's going to come through again, because you never know. And when I come on, it is what it is. And I love you all.